When I first started writing the script out for this video, the original working title was Defending Super Mario 3D All-Stars. But after thinking about it over the past couple weeks, I've come to the pretty logical conclusion that as a whole, Super Mario 3D All-Stars sucks. It baffles me how mistreated 64, Sunshine, and Galaxy have all been in this collection. Today, I'd like to look at each of these games included in the collection and point out their flaws, as well as their strengths. Timestamps will be in the description for each game covered. Super Mario 64 is kind of the middle ground of this collection. It's not bad, it's not good, it's just kind of somewhere in the middle. I guess some of the good things about 64 is that most of the textures have been completely redone, so they don't look like complete ugly blurry messes anymore on HD TVs, which is nice, and the HUD looks a lot better too. The text was completely redone as well, but to me personally, it's very uncanny seeing Mario 64's text in such high definition. I always like the blocky look of the original text, but that's probably just because I played the original 64 version so many times that seeing it in HD now looks way too weird for me to get used to. In terms of good things, that's unfortunately as far as 64 really goes. The game is still in standard 4x3, which I get it, that's how the game is supposed to look, and I personally have no problems with it since I played the original so many times, but it's extremely jarring in handheld mode with the massive black bars on the side of the screens, which are not very pleasant to look at. They could have at least given us the option to switch between 16:9 and 4x3, but I guess that would have been asking for too much considering how lazy this whole collection is. This couldn't have been that hard to implement considering there's already been an unofficial port of the game onto the Switch using homebrew of the source code leaks of SM64 to play it in widescreen on the Switch near flawlessly. For some insane reason, the clowns over at Nintendo inverted the camera controls, so going back to the original version after playing this one for so long is going to be an adjustment I really shouldn't have to make. I know it's popular for people to complain about 64's camera, but come on, it would have been nice to have the option to invert the camera or keep the camera like how it originally worked. But then again, that would have been asking for too much. Probably the worst choice regarding 64 is deciding to use the Shindu version of Mario 64 instead of the original far superior version. For those who don't know, Super Mario 64 received an updated re-release in Japan in 1997, a year after the game's initial release. The main selling point was that the game had support for the Nintendo 64's Rumble Pack now, but the deal breaker was that they patched out the infamous backwards long jump glitch, and changed some of the sound effects, including replacing the legendary So Long Gay Bowser sound clip with a boring bye-bye, making it officially canon that Mario actually calls Bowser gay. So, Nintendo, of course, decided to put this version of the game into 3D All-Stars, removing any chance of new players trying out the backwards long jump glitch for themselves, and thus being subjected to the more boring experience that is developer-intended Super Mario 64. In conclusion, this version of Super Mario 64 gets a solid 6 out of 10. Like I said, it's not good, but it's not bad either, just pretty rough around the edges. Picking the Shindu version over the original is a pretty big deal breaker for me, and no supported widescreen at all with no option to change that also sucks, but Mario 64 is still Mario 64, and I'll still die on the hill that it's one of the greatest video games ever made, so maybe I'm a little bit biased, but whatever. Super Mario Sunshine is easily the worst part of this entire collection. This version of Sunshine is borderline unplayable at times, and it's truly disappointing to see a company like Nintendo that is known for quality games willingly endorse the garbage that is 3D All-Stars' version of Sunshine. The game's in 1080p widescreen now, which looks all nice and pretty and is a step up already from the Mario 64 port, but the actual game itself is atrocious. For starters, the game is still in 30 FPS. Not 60, 30. For a game that's literally almost 2 decades old, they still couldn't re-release it in 60 FPS. Or they just didn't want to for some reason I can't think of. And the game can't even hold 30 FPS half the time, so it makes me wonder if they just didn't include 60 FPS as an option because they couldn't do it. It runs fine in handheld mode, but in dock mode the game barely scrapes by, especially in Delfino Plaza. A widely known issue with Sunshine that used to occur while running it in Dolphin was opening the map screen slowed the game down to a crawl. While this was eventually fixed in newer versions of Dolphin, for some unexplainable reason, this issue is still present in the official re-release of Sunshine. The official re-release. If fans can do a better job than you can at emulating your own game, you've got to work on some self-improvement, buddy. How this managed to get past Nintendo's quality check absolutely baffles me. Using Joy-Cons with this game is anything but joyful, as controlling Mario with these things feels like I'm doing the game a huge disservice. Speaking of controls, where is the GameCube controller support for this game? Smash Ultimate has GameCube controller support. I don't see how it would have been any different to add support for the controller that the game was literally originally built for, especially when you already did it perfectly for Smash Ultimate. I guess you can still use the GameCube controller for Sunshine, but the controls are so messed up that you're better off not using it anyway, and just admitting defeat by using a Pro Controller or your Joy-Cons, though a Pro Controller is much more bearable than Joy-Cons are with this game. I didn't expect Nintendo to fix the clunkiness of Sunshine present in the original GameCube version of the game, but still seeing all the BS of Sunshine still present in 3D All-Stars actually kinda humbled me a little bit, as much as I hate to admit it. Sandbird, Pachinko, and the Poison River still suck though. Those will never get a pass from me no matter how pretty you make the game look. That being said, replaying this game has really made me realize just how terribly the game has aged over the years. I know this video is about the collection itself and not the games within it, but falling through the ground so many times and dying to something that was completely out of my control was a pretty big wake-up call that I feel like I should mention. However, I still do love Sunshine and is definitely a favorite of mine, but it is not beginner-friendly at all. This version of Sunshine gets a 4 out of 10. There's absolutely no excuse as to why the game isn't being emulated at full speed. Sure, the game's in widescreen now, but that shouldn't distract from the fact that the game still runs in 30 FPS when it's not being slowed down by poor emulation. Playing with Joy-Cons sucks, and the fact that there's no official GameCube controller support is a hugely missed opportunity. Honestly, just play the original GameCube version, it's so much better. This is just humiliating on Nintendo's part at this point. Galaxy and all the enhancements brought with it for 3D All-Stars makes it easily the best part of this entire collection. It still controls really well, and as much as I hate to say it, it still controls really well with Joy-Cons. Having the ability to use the gyro aiming feature to move your cursor around and collect star bits is so much better than the unresponsive Wii sensor bar. It's honestly hard for me to ever go back to the original Wii version after knowing this version exists. The game looks beautiful in 1080p, which is a huge step up compared to the original 480p Wii version. This was really the only thing that Galaxy needed to fix in terms of visuals was the resolution, because the game already looked amazing on the Wii. The visuals have aged beautifully and, like I said, look even better now in 1080p. I seriously can't stress enough how good it looks. The footage you're probably looking at right now probably doesn't do the up-res justice because of YouTube's heavy compression, but if there's anything good about this collection, it's the entirety of Galaxy. But, of course, it can't be completely perfect. The only complaint I have with this version of Galaxy is that you can't set your Mii to be your file icon like you could in the original version. I'm sure this wouldn't have been very hard to implement to begin with, especially since the Mii Maker is an actively supported feature of the Switch. This was such a cool feature to me, was seeing your Mii's head spin around and around like a planet. It's a shame that you can't do this on the Switch version, but other than that, that's literally my only complaint about this version of Galaxy. It's seriously so good. So, Galaxy gets an easy 10 out of 10, as expected, and before you asked, no, I'm not biased at all, because Super Mario Galaxy is objectively the best game ever made, so it deserves a 10 out of 10. The game controls perfectly, it looks amazing, and runs at full speed, 60 FPS with no frame drops during the time I played it. Not being able to use your Mii for the file icon kinda sucks, but I'm willing to look past it because it's Galaxy. Please just go play this version of Galaxy. I literally cannot stress enough how good it is. Man, I really do love Super Mario Galaxy. I'm so glad that the newer generation of gamers can experience this masterpiece of a game that I fell in love with as a kid all these years ago. You know, I would love to experience more games like Super Mario Galaxy. Maybe even, dare I say, a sequel to Super Mario Galaxy? Man, that would really make my day, you know? What's this? There is a sequel? But it's not even Super Mario 3D All-Stars. What kind of absolute psychopaths would include Super Mario Galaxy but completely forget about Super Mario Galaxy 2, literally making it the only 3D Mario game that's not on the Switch? Yep, you heard that right. Galaxy 2 is nowhere to be found in 3D All-Stars. This was a pretty big deal breaker to me when I heard this, as Galaxy 1 and 2 are such inseparable games that it's extremely hard to talk about the one and not the other. It's common knowledge by now that 3D All-Stars is a very rushed collection, but it would have been much better had the game been delayed for about a month or however long it would have taken to put Galaxy 2 in the collection, than have a collection with no Galaxy 2. I understand that Nintendo really wanted to push out this collection for Mario's 35th anniversary, but if the whole point about a 3D Mario collection is to acknowledge and preserve all of the 3D Mario games and make them more accessible to the younger generations who might have not had the chance to experience them originally, leaving out a game as important and as amazing as Super Mario Galaxy 2 really makes this whole collection feel very empty. Nintendo, if you're watching this, I beg you to add Galaxy 2 into the game in some shape or form. Ideally, it would be in the form of a free update, which would make me and all the other little Nintendo nerds around the world so much happier. Even if it comes in the form of DLC, that's okay too. Just please don't sell it back to us for some ridiculous price. Alright, to wrap this whole video up in a nice little bow tie, I genuinely love Super Mario 3D All-Stars. Being able to play Super Mario Galaxy on the toilet is like a childhood dream of mine come true. As much as I ripped on 3D All-Stars today, I can't deny that it's definitely one of my favorite Switch games ever, and will hold a special place in my collection. A great saying that I keep seeing whenever this game is discussed online is, "This is a bad collection of good games," and I wholeheartedly agree. The presentation sucks, and these games have not gotten what they deserve by any means. This is a very lackluster collection that had so much potential to be one of the greatest additions to the Switch's first-party titles, but instead it stands as a testament to the modern-day lazy company Nintendo is turning into, which are quick to put minimal effort into something, sell it for $60, and still make money, because no matter what, people will always buy it because it's Nintendo. Regardless, 3D All-Stars is still a great way to re-experience most of Mario's 3D platforming games, and I will continue to play it well into the Switch's lifetime, but it just hurts knowing that this collection could have been so much more.